He was diagnosed with a terminal illness and given a grim prognosis. All he wanted was to succeed in the game, so he just paid and fell into a coma. But when he wakes up, he finds himself inside the world of the game and sees familiar faces. Now, the pay-to-win player rules as a king in his new world. But now he has to find out, which world is real? Let's find out. The story begins with the main character looking at the store in the game and thinking, "Fate is always fair, right?" He said in a dissatisfied voice that the donation in this game is too slow. Is it possible to immediately add some pack for 3 or 5 million? His name is Jong. He has a girlfriend, he has his own apartment, his parents are dead, and he still has several thousand small goals in his account. He is a typical rich heir. However, he has a fatal disease that cannot be cured. He has less than 3 months to live, and he decided to spend the last days of his life playing games. In the end, he fulfilled his last wish. He lay down on the bed and thought that he had spent tens of millions, played several nights in a row without sleep, and still achieved the most difficult achievement in the entire game. Failures are constant companions of life. With these thoughts, he fell asleep. After that, a girl came to him with food, called him brother, and asked if he spent the whole night playing the game again. He sat up and said that it was not so, he just woke up. She said that he should still take care of his health. At that moment, he felt very tired and fell on the bed. He saw a fantasy world and wondered where he was. After all, he had just played a game. After that, everything went dark and he didn't remember anything else. He felt a strange heaviness, and when he opened his eyes, he saw an unfamiliar girl on top of him. She looked at him, called him Mr. Hero, and said that it was time to save the continent of Ira. He thought with a slightly displeased look that this voice was cutting into his ears and seemed familiar. He sat up and asked who she was. She said that his absent-mindedness was amazing. After all, they had been through so much together. He got out of bed, looked around the room, and thought that this entourage was undoubtedly his game, God's abode. This girl was the same as the power-up merchant from whom he had spent millions. Had he really played for so long that he had started hallucinating? She raised her leg and said that she would now prove that this was not an illusion. Immediately after that, she kicked him in the face. MC, with a calm expression, thought that this feeling and smell were too realistic. It seemed that he really had entered this world. An unknown guy broke the door of this house with a kick, loudly called his name, and said that he should come out now. Today, he would pick up his sister, and he didn't care whether he agreed or not. His sister, with a dissatisfied look, told Shen Wanhao that her brother had a serious illness and couldn't be disturbed. She called her brother and said that it was better for him to rest, and she would handle this herself. He called Lu and asked what she was doing here. She said that this was their house after all. She lived here. He, with a slightly dissatisfied look, thought that something was wrong. Even this character was also from Langxing. A merchant named Fufu said that he should let her explain everything. In Langxing, he should have died by now. However, he was the only one who had completed the hidden achievement in the God's abode. So the system rewarded him with the opportunity to live a second life in the game world. They have a donation refund system. The more he pays, the more he gets. Besides, he spent too much. The energy during the refund was too strong. The body couldn't take it. That's why he became like this. Chen asked, did he donate too much and just destroy his body? She agreed and said that young people should still know when to stop. However, he doesn't have to worry. She can still give him something useful. Wanhao called him over with a displeased look and said that he wants Lu to be his woman, and he has 2 options. Either he agrees, or he will kill his entire family, and she will still go with him. He has 3 seconds to make a decision. She asked this idiot with a displeased expression, is he even in his right mind? He should go and do something. He thought with a calm expression that even with all this, he still didn't understand why all of them were here. He was starting to get a headache. Because he ignored that psycho, he channeled fire energy into his fist and said loudly that silence was a sign of agreement. If that was the case, then he would choose for himself. The protagonist released a powerful energy and asked loudly, couldn't he see that he was in a bad mood right now? He immediately jumped away from him and asked loudly, did he withstand his punch? There was no way that could happen. He said with a smile that, judging by his game level, he was somewhere around the level of a village idiot. He thought that the golden scale armor Fufu gave him couldn't penetrate any class below rank 3. Wanhao asked loudly with a dissatisfied expression, was he even trying to resist? He called out to a few people who were standing outside and loudly said that they should grab him. They agreed and ran towards him, and he asked loudly, did he think he was joking when he said he would destroy his entire family? He took out a divine artifact, a rank 5 absorption tooth, with a calm expression and said that it didn't matter whether they were NPCs or real people. He defeated them incredibly quickly and said with a serious expression that they would now know what the power of a real donation boss was. Immediately after that, a woman entered the house and said that they should carry them all out and bury them quickly. MC looked at her and thought that, as expected, Aunt Meng was also here. He called her and asked if she was hurt. She told the young master that they were lured out by a fake attack, which almost got him and the miss into trouble. She hugged them, started crying, and said that if something happened to them, she didn't know what she would do. Because of her very strong grip, he began to choke and said that the main thing is that everything worked out. Lu called her brother and said that the Shen clan had heavy losses, they would not let it go. Ant agreed with this and said that if they did not resist, they would simply be killed. What his strength is now? He thought that in this game, each class can develop from a beginner to a pro, elite, master, and so on. Each promotion gives an increase of several times, and sometimes tens of times. For example, Wan Hao is a second-rank fighter, a pro level. He said with a smile that he is below a beginner, the most basic rank. This surprised her very much, and he said with a smile that this icon above his head means that he is a complete beginner. She called Miss and said that she should get together with the young master and leave. She will cover the Jong house, so they will not find them for some time. He called her over with a calm expression and told her not to worry. Although he was at the beginner level, with his combat skills and equipment, he could easily defeat third-rank opponents. By the way, he had something for them. He took out 2 books and Meng asked what they were. Just looking at the book made her want to sleep. Lu took the book and said that however, since the Jong clan was in danger, she couldn't sit idly by any longer. She couldn't just rely on her brother and aunt forever. She opened the book to a random page, became embarrassed and asked what this was. She closed the book with an embarrassed expression and saw that it was a seduction technique. Chen thought that, as her own brother, he didn't want her to learn something like that at all. He said that she didn't need to master everything. She just needed to choose the one she liked. He thought that if it helped her survive, then it would be worth it. Meng called the young master and said that she tried the breathing technique in this book, and even one breath gave more effect than her whole day before. He thought with a smirk that the system simply couldn't foist useless things on him. He himself had just felt it. He finished reading the first chapter, noticed that the second chapter was blocked, and thought that they were very greedy for blocking the second chapter. Fufu flew to him, closed the book in his hands and said that he was very impatient. He would get the rest after he leveled up. After some time, the protagonist came to Chunyun Lake and said that 1 fishing rod and a bag of bait would be enough for him to fish for a whole day. Is she even in her right mind? He's a newbie with no rank. Why does he need the liver of a gold-scaled king to level up? It's rank 4 after all. She said that he needed to level up 10 ranks at once. If he only needed 1, everything would be much easier. He said with a grin that fortunately, he was a top player in the game, so he had closed all these quests long ago. First, you need to pour out a bunch of regular bait, feed it to a regular fish, and then throw in a special bait. Then this fish will definitely bite. He left the fishing rod in a bucket of water, noticed that it was moving, and said that here it came. He grabbed the fishing rod and said that you need to jerk it with a special frequency and fight the fish. He is also a professional in this. He pulled out what he caught from the water and said loudly that the king should get out. However, instead of a fish, he pulled a mermaid out of the water, and with a disappointed look loudly asked who she was. The mermaid said that her name was Senna. She is grateful to the valiant lord for saving her. MC said that he didn't save her, he was just fishing. She said that she knew it, but she was locked in Chunyun Lake by enemies. If it weren't for his bait, she wouldn't have been able to recover her strength and get out. He asked, did she eat his bait? He remembered the past and wondered, were there such events in the game at all? He didn't remember something. Fufu flew up to him and said that he still didn't know a lot. His understanding of this world was just the tip of the iceberg. He asked with a smile, if that's the case, then how is she going to compensate for it? Give him the bait or help him catch the gold-scaled king? She apologized and said that it was dangerous for her to return to the lake now, and there was no bait anymore. However, she swears that she will not forget his kindness. He asked with a displeased expression, so he will not receive any reward? She can continue to talk about how she will definitely repay him in the future. He is not interested and can leave. She was amazed at how selfless he is, quickly caught up with him and kissed him. He pushed her away and asked what she was doing. First, she ate the bait, and now she wanted to eat him too. She said that she left a mark on his body. With this, she will be able to find him later. However, before leaving, she has one more request. She transformed her tail into legs and said that she did not prepare clothes for going on land. Could he lend her something to cover herself with? He thought that it was good that he had some starting clothes left in his inventory. She changed, and he said that at least this way she would last for a while. Sina looked at him with a smile and said that she asked him to wait a little. She would definitely find him. After that, she dove underwater, and he thought that, since it was not clear how long it would take to make a special bait, he would have to think of another option. After some time, somewhere nearby, 2 people met a wolf monster with very sharp claws. The girl asked her uncle, what should they do now? The man loudly called her Qingyu and said that she should quickly run away from here. He thought with a worried look, after all, the outer part of the northern ridge, where did the third-ranked demon wolf come from here? He said that they were finished anyway, but at least this way she could escape. Shen stood on the cliff next to them and said that this dog was quite big. I wonder what kind of breed it is? If you take it home, it will be able to guard them. Immediately after that, he jumped down to them and the man asked, does this guy fly? Is this really a 4th-rank master? It seems that they are saved. The demon took a deep breath after which many waves of bright energy were released upward. She loudly told her uncle that this guy was not flying, but just falling. Did he really jump off the cliff to end his life? He collided with the energy released by the demon and caused a powerful explosion. Her uncle grabbed her by the shoulder and said that one way or another he gave them a chance to escape. Later, they would find out who he was so that they could at least put up a monument to light incense. The protagonist knocked out the demon after the fall and said that it was still too high and his legs cramped. He was very surprised because of this, called this young man and asked if he was okay. Where did the wolf demon go? He looked at him and said that he was okay and that this monster was also okay. He looked at this demon with a cruel smile and said that somewhere in the northern ridge lives the king of all animals, but he forgot the exact place, so he asks to be taken to him. It must stop pretending, otherwise it will hit again. The monster was frightened by this threat and immediately stood up. It began to show strange movements, and he asked, "Is he offering him a seat?" The demon nodded. He began to sit down and said that he had things to do, so it was time for him to go. Immediately after that, the demon galloped away, and the man said that they were probably lucky to meet a real master. They should go further. Perhaps fate would bring them together again. After some time, the demon stopped at a clearing, and he said with a smile that it looked like they were in place. A large white wolf demon approached him and asked, "The wolf demon says that he came here with a request." The bird monster sitting on a tree branch said that the king is in a good mood today, since he agreed to meet with a man. He hopes that he will not anger his majesty. Last time, a 5th rank master tried to steal the heavenly grass and was immediately killed. MC said that the king of all beasts, Pi Ace, a legendary 5th rank beast with the innate ability to command all animals. The demon grinned and said that at least he was showing respect. He should say why he came here. He asked. He obviously had the powers of a tiger, which meant his instincts were similar, right? Could he help him catch one fish? The king of beasts began to radiate a powerful aura and asked loudly what he had just said. He should repeat it again. He came for help so that he could catch a fish for him. It looked at him with its mouth wide open, and he said that he was not asking for it to be done for free. He could put forward any condition. By the way, what did he eat? The smell was so bad that it hurt his eyes. The demon got very angry because of this and asked, did they think that since he was silent, they could come here every day with their stupid requests? The demon took off and said that he would take his remains back to where he came from. Let all the people know where he, the king of the Northern Ridge, got such a reputation. Chen looked at him with a calm expression and asked if he could handle it. It tried to attack him, but he easily dodged it and counterattacked, breaking the monster's fang. It became very angry because of this and asked this vile person, did he mean to hide his strength all this time? It began to emit an even stronger aura and said loudly that he should be prepared to accept its wrath. He caught the broken fang and said that as he thought, his diet was not the best. He should take a look. The roots of its teeth have already rotted through. He knocked out its diseased fang and now it feels better, doesn't it? The demon was surprised by what he heard, thought about it, and thought that it really didn't hurt anymore. However, he can't let his guard down. This blow's strength is clearly higher than rank 4. Did he really come to kill him? The demon gave off a hostile aura and asked loudly if he could tell him straight out what he wanted. If he wanted to fight, he should fight fair and square. He had had enough of their dirty tricks. He said with a calm expression that he had already said that he just wanted him to help catch the golden-scaled king. He didn't believe it himself, now that he had gotten rid of his rotten tooth. In all fairness, he should help him now, shouldn't he? The demon agreed and said that he would go with him then. It flew up and asked, the golden-scaled king lives in Chuinyan Lake, right? He knows a shortcut. After a while, the demon stopped and said that they would pass through this grove. Right behind that would be the back of the lake. The protagonist said that he didn't remember there being a path here. He still agreed to go this way, but at that moment he was grabbed by strange glowing vines. It lifted him off the ground, and he asked loudly, what is this? He took out his dagger and immediately began to cut the plant. The demon called him and said that he should not waste his strength in vain. This is a spell from the ancient era. Even if there are only residual effects left, even this is enough to deal with him. If he does not tell the truth, he will rot here until the insects eat him. He calmly said that it seems that there is no way to negotiate with him. He also has an account, a rune master pumped to the maximum. He should be able to handle it, right? Fufu asked. Did he just remember this? She can switch his class, but all stamina stats will drop. He also won't be able to use this weapon. He got angry because of this and asked why there are so many restrictions. She said that everything is very simple. You need to pump up and develop in all directions. He said with a calm expression that he does not care. He confirms the class change. Immediately after that, a powerful aura engulfed him, and he thought that runic spells come in 2 types and are divided into the following directions: for attack and defense. They can weaken the enemy, strengthen an ally, create illusions, and even change the rules of battle. However, any spell has a core. This is the point of concentration of energy. If he destroys the core, the spell will disappear. The demon looked at him and loudly asked, what else is this man up to? He concentrated a large amount of energy in his hand and then released it into the vines that were around him. After that, he noticed a silhouette in the distance and said, "There it is. It seems it's time to end this." The woman looked at him with a grin and said that she had a really bad headache. However, she is still grateful to the hero for saving her. If it weren't for him, she would have remained in the seal for another couple of hundred years. Pai Ace looked at her with a shocked look and asked, "How is this even possible?" MC turned around and asked what was going on here. Was that really his enemy? Unexpectedly for him, the demon ran to her and loudly called her mom. She kicked the demon in the head and loudly asked why he was crying like at a funeral if she hadn't died yet. The wolf continued to cry with happiness and said that he thought he would never see her again. The girl approached him and told the hero that she asked to let her introduce herself. Her name was Garuda, and that idiot next to her was her son. He was surprised by what he heard and asked if she was one of the 4 legendary divine beings of this world. She asked with a smirk, what sacred being was there? She had been kept locked up here for hundreds of years. She didn't think that there were still rumors about her. If it weren't for him, she would have died in this forest of old age. He thought, with a calm expression, that now it was clear why she wasn't in the game. She was only mentioned in legends. He asked, "She is very strong. How could she be sealed?" She said that she has grown old and boring, and her powers have also gone. Besides, she has crossed paths with those she shouldn't have. By the way, what is he even doing here? Because of this question, Pai Ace became very nervous and was about to run away, but she noticed this and asked loudly, "Who allowed him to move?" He looked at her with a very worried look and asked his mother to spare him. Garuda did not listen to his pleas and hit him on the head with her fist several times. She turned around and said with a smile that if the hero wants, she will get his bones and cook broth from them. Chen, with a small smile, said that it is not worth it because he still needs him to help with the fish. After some time, Pai Ace caught the fish he needed and got out of the water. She told the hero that if he wants more fish, he can just say so. This idiot will catch him all of Chuinyan. Pai Ace said that he knows how to catch fish, and in general, he is the coolest at this. He cut the caught fish with a calm expression on his face, took out a small ball from it, and thought, should he eat it raw? He swallowed it and began to cough loudly. Garuda looked at him with a smile and asked if he needed anything else. He turned to her and said that she could consider that they were even. He needed to move on. She said that they would see each other again. If anything, he could just call her. After that, he went into the forest, and they remained standing on the shore. Pai Ace called his mother and asked, "Is it really necessary to be so polite with this person? If he fought at full strength, it is not a fact that he would lose. If she was at the peak of her abilities." He did not finish because she asked, "Does not he see that he is an ordinary person of the first rank?" He was embarrassed by this and asked, "Is he really not hiding his strength?" She said with a smile that if he was already so scary at the first rank, then with his growth rate, he would overtake them incredibly quickly. That's why she was betting on him becoming their support. The wings of the fallen, belonging to their clan, will still soar into the sky. After some time, Chen came to the city, and the merchant said that he ordered crystals worth 7,200 somi. His store accepted somi and gold coins. How will he pay? He looked at the crystals that were offered to him with a dissatisfied expression and asked, "Is this amount of crystals worth a fortune?" The merchant got angry and asked, "Does he really have no money?" He kicked and said loudly that then he should immediately leave here and not waste his time. He asked with a confused look why he was shouting so loudly. After all, he should have brought money with him. He grabbed Fufu and said that he had eaten the gold-scaled king's liver after all. Now he still needed 3 pieces of sparkling crystal, 3 transparent ones and 1 sacred one. What were those anyway? And where could he get the money? She said that these were system requirements and that there was no use complaining to her. He sighed with a dissatisfied look and thought that the sacred crystal was indeed quite rare, but the rest could be bought with money. He looked around and noticed a girl with a crystal ball on her desk. The sign next to it said that fortune-telling and future prediction were 3 times a day and only for the chosen ones. A guy approached her, called Mrs. Zuta, and asked if she could perform his fortune-telling. She said with a calm expression that she couldn't do that since he was not the chosen one. He took out a wallet with money and said that she shouldn't rush to conclusions. It was a gift for her, just a sign of respect. She immediately took the money and said that it seemed she was mistaken, and he really was the chosen one. What does he want to know? The protagonist looked at this with a smile and said that it seemed he should try fortune-telling. He set up a fortune-telling table and said loudly that he conducts honest fortune-telling without cheating and that anyone can try. Shuita immediately noticed him, took his sign and asked, "Is he working so noisily? Does he really want to take away her clients this way?" He refused with a grin and said that it's just that she only tells fortunes for the chosen ones, and he tells fortunes for everyone. She smiled and said that this way the rules are broken, and she doesn't like that. Maybe they should have a competition and put the pride of each fortune teller on the line. She touched his face and asked, "How about if the loser leaves on his own?" He said with a grin that he didn't have any fortune-teller pride to begin with. However, now he has problems with money, so he agrees. She also agreed, and Fufu said loudly that the first competition of the best fortune-tellers of Ventiel Street was declared open. The first question was, what would the next passerby be wearing? She said purple, and he said yellow. At that moment, A girl dressed in purple and yellow walked down the street, and she said that they were both right. She said with a calm expression that she had been too hasty, but she would not be wrong on the next question. Fufu warned that she was going to ask a question and asked what kind of hairstyle the next passerby would have. She answered short hair, and he assumed that it would be bald. She flew up to the next passerby, took off his wig, and said that in that case, both sides seemed to be right. The third, decisive question. Weather forecasts until the evening. Judah said that the fortune teller's honor was at stake. She would not lose. She looked at her crystal ball and said that there would be a cloudless sky. He sat in front of her with a calm expression and said that there would probably be a very heavy rain. She was about to ask something, but at that moment a heavy rain really started. She was surprised because of this and asked, "Does this mean that she lost?" He thought with a small smirk that his pumped-up twink astrologer was not just maxed out for nothing. Unlike ordinary fortune tellers, astrologers are a hidden, elite class. They predict the future by the stars and can even influence the weather. That's why she asked about the weather forecast. Fufu flew up to him and asked what he would do without her. Juita said that since she lost, she was leaving, and he would never see her on this street again. She put the crystal ball and the rest of the things on the table and said that she would leave this for him too. MC was already happy with such a gift, but she demanded 5,000 somi, and this upset him very much. She said that she now needed something to live on. Besides, he would definitely need all this. He said that he was ready to offer no more than 2,000. She immediately took the money from him and said that this was already not bad. Right after that, she kissed him and said that this was an additional reward for the winner. She turned away, called him master, and asked if he wanted to go to a room and retire with a student to teach her fortune-telling. He refused and said with a grin that his training was paid. She waved her hand with a grin, wished him luck, and said that then, see you. He looked at her and said that for some reason she seemed suspicious to him. If with this he could quickly save up money for crystals, then he didn't care. After some time, several knights came to him and loudly said that here he is. They must surround this charlatan fortune teller. Chen looked at them with a serious expression and asked, "Are they sure they have come to the right place?" He said that Judah had come here a week ago. She had demonstrated her abilities, and their master Luopu had immediately become interested. He had given her a large advance on his behalf, hoping that she would help solve a delicate problem. However, she had taken the advance and said that the matter was too difficult and that they should wait for her master. However, now she had simply disappeared. Meanwhile, Master Luopu's condition was only getting worse. What did he suggest they do? He asked with a calm expression. Then they should go look for her master. Why did they come to him? He remembered that before she left, she had called him master and asked him to wait. He said this, and the knight said loudly that he had just let it slip, and everyone had heard it. He grabbed his head with a displeased expression and thought that this woman had seriously set him up. The knight leaned towards him and said loudly that he now had two options, either return the advance or go and solve their master's problem. He called out to Fufu in his mind with a nervous smile and thought that there really weren't two options. She agreed to this and started to fly away, and said that she would go first. He ran after her and loudly asked where she was flying to. The knight was very angry because of this and loudly ordered to detain them. The knights tried to attack Chen, but he dodged them and thought with a smirk that even though his physical indicators were only at the level of an astrologer now, these idiots still wouldn't be able to stop him. He felt a lot of pain after the jump and thought that it happened at the wrong time. Because he was distracted, he crashed into a girl walking by and they both fell to the ground. Fufu looked at this with a smirk and said that he was very unlucky. The knight stood in front of him and asked, "Now they will see how far he can escape." The girl turned out to be Qingyu, called him master and asked what he was doing here. After a while, they came to the office, where her uncle said that he should let him introduce himself. He is Lin Huai, the head of the merchant guild of Chun'an Township. If it weren't for him that day, they would have definitely died in the north near the border. She thanked him, and the protagonist thought that these were the two he accidentally saved back then. He said his name and said that formalities could be dispensed with. He called Captain Chi and said that this was all a misunderstanding. It seemed that they had already understood everything now. He said with a dissatisfied expression that it was all the same to him, whether it was a misunderstanding or not. This person will go with him today. He must report to Lord Luopu. He looked at him with a serious expression and asked, "Is that so?" At that moment, several people entered the office, looking at him with a serious expression. He noticed this and asked, "Is he serious now? They will go against them for the sake of some stranger?" Wai said with a serious expression that he had already said this. This gentleman is an esteemed guest of their guild. Does he intend to declare war on the trading guild on behalf of the Luopu family? He smiled and asked, "What does he propose to do then?" He said that in that case, he proposes a compromise. Let Mr. Jong prove that he really knows how to tell fortunes. He turned around and asked, could he go with him and help his master deal with the trouble? Although it is not his responsibility, of course, his work will be paid. Everything must be fair. MC smirked and said that for money he does not mind helping. After a while, Chige entered the office with him and told his master that they brought him. Lopu, a very tall man with a big belly, looked at him and said that he could come. He stood behind him with a serious expression and said that he had to swear that no matter what he saw next, he would not tell anyone about it. He walked further and asked what this was that was so mysterious. He was clearly worried and said that their master, he had become pregnant. What he heard shocked him greatly, and he asked loudly what this even meant. Lopu said that this condition was due to an evil spirit that had taken over this mansion. He calmed down a little and thought that it was not surprising that he had been called. Fortune tellers, in addition to making predictions, also cleanse the house of evil spirits, ward off troubles, and heal people. A child approached the throne, called his father, and asked if everything would definitely be okay with him. He stroked his head with a smile and said that he did not have to worry. He still continued to cry and said that his brother was no longer there. He didn't want to lose him too. He started crying too and said that they were adopted children. If something happened to him, who would take care of them then? Chen said that they should stop acting out and just tell him where the spirit was. Chige took him to a dark basement and said that it was downstairs under the lock, in the basement. In order to definitely exorcise everything, the master urgently called a famous master from a neighboring state, so all that was required of him was a little help. He didn't have to worry, because he would still get the payment. He thought with a dissatisfied expression, did they make a fire in such a closed room? Is it normal that there is almost no oxygen here? He opened the door and said that at least it became easier to breathe now. The guy who was holding the spirit turned to him and asked what he was doing there. Did he even realize that he had disrupted his exorcism? Who would be responsible for this? Chige approached Master Ba and said that they just brought an assistant. He will help him in the purification. The other exorcist said to let him stand aside. His master can handle such a spirit on his own. The protagonist with a calm expression said that he did not care. The main thing is that they pay. The master with a serious expression created a cross from bright energy. His disciple looked at it with a joyful look and said loudly that this is a holy crucifix. Surprisingly, even such a powerful spell obeys it. He, with a serious expression, pointed his staff and loudly ordered the evil spirit to leave. He attacked her with this cross and she screamed loudly in pain. He said with a smirk that with such power, this evil spirit has probably already been scattered to the wind. The spirit was very angry because of this and loudly asked, some person dared to burn her? He jumped away from her and attacked her with his energy again. Unexpectedly for him, she dodged, broke free from his grip and ran towards him very quickly. He looked at this with a displeased expression on his face and asked what kind of annoying spirit was this. MC stood aside with a calm expression on his face and said that he had better tell his master to stop, because if he continued, he would simply burn up. The student became indignant because of this and loudly asked what he was saying. Does he even know who his master is? Who is he even to give advice here? He calmly looked at him and said that he did not have enough spiritual strength, so he used the circle and burned his soul to forcibly summon the Holy Cross. Now the forces were almost equal. At this rate he could die. He grabbed him by the clothes and loudly said that he should repeat it again. He looked at him with a frighteningly serious expression on his face and said that he should let him go. He got scared, let him go, and said that his master had been exorcising spirits for decades. At the same time, his master was sent flying by a very strong attack and his back hit the wall. His disciple immediately ran up to him with a worried look, and Chige asked loudly, has he really lost? What should they do now? He doesn't want to die here. Chen, with a calm expression on his face, channeled energy into his fingers and asked, he used the holy crucifix, right? I think it's folded like this? Master Ba called out loudly and said that he shouldn't push forward because his circle was protecting this place and he still had a chance to escape. Once the circle crumbled, it would be too late. He looked at him with a calm expression on his face and said that just because he couldn't do something didn't mean he couldn't do it. Immediately after that, he walked to the center, created a circle, and summoned a weapon made of bright energy. The master, with a surprised expression on his face, looked at the golden crucifix he created and said that this couldn't be. He very quickly attacked Spirit with a weapon made of this energy. Because of this, she felt a lot of pain, let out a loud scream, and because of this, the weapons disappeared. He looked at her with a smirk and said that she should at least cover her mouth when she screams. Because of this, everything here is covered in drool. She looked at him with a smile, called him a stupid person, and said that he should not pretend to be important. He controls 4 holy crosses at once. She admits that this is impressive. However, now his strength is running out, right? This means that the advantage is on her side. She just ran up to him, but at that moment he created several more weapons from the energy above her head. She became worried about this, and he asked with a smirk, is she so sure about this? She began to count the number of these weapons, after which she fell to the ground, began to cry and said that she does not play like that. This is no longer fair and he is mocking her. He said that he actually liked her impudent and unbalanced version more. She should tell him why she gave Lopu this black soul in the first place. She called him master and said that he was wrong because she just wanted to help him. A couple of days ago, the soul of a boy wandered in here. He died a terrible death, and his last wish was to spend a little longer with his father, that is, Lopu. He himself knows that such souls are weak and quickly dissipate. To save him, she made a soul rudiment out of his spirit and instilled it in him. As soon as this embryo is filled with spiritual energy, it will become a full-fledged soul again. He looked at her with a serious expression on his face and said that this is a black soul. She understands that she can kill him, right? She apologized and said that she did it from the bottom of her heart. She had never touched anyone here. The protagonist thought that he really didn't feel any human energy. It seemed that she wasn't lying. He turned around with a smile and said that it was okay to live now. He would go check on Lopu's condition. Spirit said that she would take him to him. On the stairs, he met Chi, who asked if he had finished yet. He looked at him with a serious expression and asked when he had managed to sneak up. He didn't have to worry. Everything was fine. He noticed Spirit and asked if this lady was with him. They should go up quickly. There might be more evil spirits downstairs. She looked at him with a frightening grin and asked what he was saying. She noticed that he was very scared because of this and began to laugh loudly. After that, they told Lopu about it, and he asked if it was him, his little Toby. He missed him very much. MC released his aura and said that, however, he would die if he continued to feed him his spiritual energy, and it was unknown what would happen to the child in the end. He would rid him of this. With his energy, he returned him to his original appearance, and he told the master that Toby had become attached to him for a reason. Maybe he wanted to say something? Could he find out what happened to him? Chen looked at the bag in his hand and said that he should find someone else. He had already received his payment, and now he had something to do. He remained sitting on his throne and said that earlier, Lord Namal had said that his son would become the bearer of the Holy Crystal. He was interested in the information he had heard and said that from now on he would ask for more details. After some time, they went outside and Fufu said that she liked the local food again. Qingyu walked next to him and asked if he wanted to stay longer. They hadn't even had time to treat him properly. Chen refused with a calm expression and said that Lopu had already told him where to look for the Holy Crystal, so he should hurry. She handed him a plate and said that here are his stones, sparkling and transparent. All together cost 2,700 somi. There are also 3,000 gold coins. This is a gift from her and her uncle. He looked at the merchant with a displeased expression and said that this freak offered him all this for 7,200 somi. She came closer to him and said that the thirst for money is a common thing. However, he does not need to worry. If he needs anything, he can contact them. She promises that she will not let him spend a single extra coin. Huai approached them and said that she will calculate the road, cost price, and production at a glance. In general, he thinks that it was high time to give this shopping street to her. The protagonist thought they are offering an opportunity to save money. Then, this is not bad. It will come in handy if he needs a mass purchase later. She said that so, he must definitely come back alive. He looked away, blushed, and said that she really embarrassed him, but he promised they will meet again. He grabbed Fufu and said that it was time for them to go. She said with a displeased look that she had not finished eating yet. He watched them leave with a smile, called Xinyu and asked if she liked him. Then, why did not she stop him? She was a pretty girl with a big dowry. She said that he was not one of those who could sit in one place for a long time anyway. She had already decided that she would work, develop their business, not just the street, but cover the entire continent. If she wanted to be close to him, then she needed to match him. After some time, MC rented a room and said that the neighboring city was still quite far away, so tonight, they would spend the night here. He looked at the bed and asked, is she not going to wash? Fufu lay down and said that she did not want to do this and was going to sleep. He walked up to the door and asked, by the way, why is it so chilly in here? He opened the door and saw Spirit, who told the master that they met again. Does he need room service? She is ready to offer it for free. He immediately closed the door and sighed with displeasure. She got inside anyway and said that if he wants to take a bath, she can help too. Is this even necessary? He immediately kicked her out of the room and she said that, by the way, she's specially prepared. He could at least praise her for the sake of decency. A guy noticed her and said that his room just needed maintenance. Maybe she should come to him? She turned to him with a frightening expression on her face and said that she would be happy to help. He immediately ran away from her, screamed loudly in fear and called her a demon. This attracted the attention of the rest of the hotel residents, and Chen opened the door and said that she should quickly go inside. She said that it was very rude, but she even liked it. They went inside and he asked why she came. She said that this story begins with her past. Her name is Vivian. She was an innocent girl, but she fell into the clutches of freaks, and in order to save her honor, she ended her life. He asked her to get closer to the point. She agreed and said that she wanted to get her body back. She was tired of being a spirit and asked him to help. Or rather, if he wanted to help, then from now on, she would belong to him completely. He said that in order to restore her body, she needed at least a 5th rank fortune teller. Even with his secret astrology techniques, this is only the 4th. However, now as she can see, he is actually the 1st rank. She approached him and said that this is incredible. He is only the 1st rank, but he defeated her with such ease. She believes that the master will rise to the 4th rank. She is ready to give him her soul right now. He said that the transfer of the soul means that her entire life and death will be in his hands. Vivian released dark energy and asked if she didn't have the resolve to do that. Why would he even help her, right? He caught the energy and said that he agreed to it. Once he reached the 4th rank, he would help her get her body back. However, she would also fulfill one request of his then. She agreed to it and said that she was chaste in life, and now, even after death, she could give him an unforgettable experience. The protagonist said that he meant that she needed to stay and look after the house. It had been a few days since he left, the Shen family could begin to act. In addition, from now on, she should call herself Xiao Wei. She should head out to the northern city today, to the Jiang family's house, and she should try not to scare his relatives. She said that, however, serving the master at night was also part of the duties. He tried to push her away and said that he had already said that he didn't need such things. He failed. They fell on the bed, and Fufu asked with a displeased look, "Who dared to disturb her sleep? She will not spare anyone for this." After some time, he was walking down the street and said that he finally got there. He looked at the map and asked, however, who can even understand what kind of map this Lopu drew? A man next to him approached the girl, said hello, and said that his name was Uernar. He was 33 years old. He lives in the northeastern estate and is not married. He does not smoke and drinks a little, depending on his mood. He called her Tina and asked if she would tell him about herself. MC looked at them and asked if maybe she should ask him. Fufu pulled his clothes and said that she wants that one. He looked at her and said that first they need to find the holy crystal, the rest later. She bit his head, loudly refused, and said that first she needed to eat. She is growing and needs to eat. Tina said she liked singing and watching plays. Does he have any hobbies? Of course, Wernar thought with a sly grin. He absolutely loved those hands. The thought of having them made him chuckle. Chen turned around and said, "This guy is too much of a fuss. They should go ask someone else." He looked at him and wondered, what was that pressure? She noticed that he was worried about something and asked if he was okay. He thought that the pressure had completely covered him and that it was so strong, it was weird. He didn't even realize it until it disappeared from his body. He apologized and said that he had to go. After a while, Fufu burped and said that those sticky balls were really tasty. The protagonist was standing by a tree and asked, did she have to behave so badly? Wernar walked up to him, apologized to get his attention, and asked if he could talk to him for a bit. He was looking at him not long ago, right? This question confused him a little, and he thought, he couldn't get to know that girl and now he's looking for a scapegoat? He said that he just wanted to ask for directions, but now he doesn't need it. He looked at him with a smirk and asked, does he seriously think he'll believe such a reason? He tried to attack him, but he immediately took out his weapon and repelled this attack. Wernar looked at the broken trees after his attack and said that a normal passerby wouldn't be able to dodge. MC pointed his weapon at him and asked where he got such strength from. He asked with a wide smile. He was one of the shadow hunters and they wanted to catch him, right? No wonder the crystal showed that trouble was waiting for him today. Tina came to them, called him, and asked what was going on here. She thought that he was such a handsome man, she couldn't just let him go. He called him a friend and said that he should wait for a while. He would explain everything now. He was seriously just passing by. They were heading. He didn't have time to finish because Uernar, with a displeased expression on his face, asked loudly, what's wrong with him liking women's hands? He looked at him with a puzzled expression and asked what he said. He took out a severed woman's hand and said that he liked it so much that he wanted to keep it to himself so that he could touch it whenever he wanted. Is this a crime? Tina looked at it with a shocked expression and said that he was a maniac. He raised his hand above his head and said loudly with a wide smile that, since they found out his secret, now they can't leave here. Chen again asked this idiot to wait and asked who asked him anyway. After all, he told him all this himself. He didn't listen to him, ran to attack, but he easily blocked this attack with the help of golden scales. Wernar's fist collided with his barrier, and he felt a lot of pain. Because of what happened, he exploded, and he looked at his remains and asked what just happened. Fufu said in a dissatisfied voice that because of this, her breakfast was climbing back. He said that scaring passersby is not very good. You need to bury it. When he did this, he turned around and said that she saw everything. He himself attacked him. So if there is a question, she will confirm it later? Tina asked him to be honest with a sad expression and asked if she really would never get married. Every time she liked someone, it ended up in such madness. Last week, a man wanted to take her heart and transplant it to his daughter. It's good that some woman noticed it in time. She ran up, hugged him, and asked why she was so unlucky. After that, they came out of the forest, and he asked if it was because he had obtained Xiao Wei's soul. He thought that the golden scales and the absorption fang were strengthened by her spiritual power. Fufu said that all she gave were first-class things. The rest of the magic he would get by himself. Tina led them to the castle and said that here they were. This was the Namal estate. He noticed several guards standing at the entrance and said that if the guards looked like that, it meant that he really was not the last person. Juita came up to them and said that standing like this openly is not the best option. It is better for everyone to lie low for now. The main character, with a grin, began to warm up his fists and asked, is this by any chance his favorite student? Who would have thought that they would meet here? Fufu pointed at her and said that this is the woman who cheated her out of money. One of the guards looked at him and said that the age matches, the hair color too. It's him. They need to grab him. They all ran together to MC. He immediately noticed it and asked, what the hell is going on here? He dodged their attacks, and one of them loudly called him Namal and said that they finally found him. He should be ready for trial. He continued to dodge and asked, are they sure they didn't mix something up? She was hovering next to him and asked, Who is to blame for the fact that he looks suspicious? The guard said that he should stop pretending. He is involved in several missing child cases. Now everything is obvious and he has no excuses left. He considered Fufu a child, extended her hand and said that she is safe now. This made her displeased and she used the first level of ultra punishment on him. This spell hurt him badly and she said loudly that she has long been an adult. Have they ever seen a child with such a graceful figure as hers? Another guard started bleeding from the nose and the girl said that he should let her hit him once, and that's it. Most of all, she likes to listen to how the livers of criminals under her trial are tracking. Chen very quickly ran up to her from behind, knocked her out with a blow to the neck, and said that it was all for their own good. If the fist had really landed, it is not a fact that one of them would not have died. After some time, Juita told him about everything, and with a smile told the master that it was just a misunderstanding. He, with a displeased expression, said that first she should return the money. They would discuss everything else later. The guard overheard their conversation and said that it seemed like they lost their temper. He is Leto, the leader of the Shadow Hunters. Namel is a priest from Duke Upso's territory. It seems that they should find out something about him first. Lately, there has been a lot of evidence that he is involved in the disappearance of children. This girl is very petite, so they decided that he is Namel. Fufu concentrated energy in her finger and told the old man that if he called her a child again, he would receive ultra punishment again. He said that on behalf of the Duke, he gathered the Shadowhunter squad to investigate. These two are their best trackers. The girl said with a smirk that her decision to join the squad was simple. Even if she kills the criminal, nothing will happen for it, because if guilt is proven, then one can act. The second man said that, of course, he fights for women's rights. How dare he appropriate these cute girls? He can only watch from afar. She said that the last time when an adult woman got hurt, he didn't really want to help. He asked with a dissatisfied expression, after 15 years, women have no rights. Everyone knows that. Is he wrong? They started arguing about it, insulting each other with very dissatisfied faces. The protagonist looked at them and said that one is worse than the other. It seems that he already understood what kind of organization they have. However, he is not interested in all this. He just came for the holy crystal that Lopu mentioned. Leto asked if Namel showed up. Would he refuse to help? After all, that misunderstanding showed that he was quite strong. The man said that he immediately saw the strength in him, so he did not engage in battle. She got very angry at him and said loudly that he just passed out when he saw this girl. MC did not pay attention to them and said that if everything is as they say, then maybe he will help. He said that then they should go explore the territory together. He walked towards the estate. He turned around and asked, by the way, their conversation was never finished, right? Juta came closer to him and said that she just wanted to drag him here. What's wrong with her cheating a little? He's an astrologer, right? She asked quietly. Besides, he was able to help Lop with his problem, right? He grabbed his head with a slightly dissatisfied look and asked, so she knew about it? She agreed and said that she predicted everything in advance. Although she lost to him, but speaking without false modesty, she is really good at her job. He asked, when they get the holy crystal, he will take his share, okay? After that, the shadow hunters entered the cave and the girl asked, did they hear some sound ahead? The man noticed something and said loudly, with a worried look, that they should look at it. They saw a gray-haired girl who was standing in a strange pose near the red crystal. The girl asked, was it Namel who kept her here? The man immediately went to her and said that she doesn't have to cry. Everything will be fine now. He came closer to her and said that she should come here. Under the reliable protection of his big shield, every girl is safe. As soon as he got close enough, her face changed. She opened her mouth wide and ran towards him. The rest of the shadow hunters were surprised because of this and watched from the side. She attacked him and he loudly asked, what is this? The girl ran towards him and loudly asked this idiot, did he want to die? He needs to act. She tried to attack with her fist, but this monster increased the crystals on its back to protect itself. Immediately after that, it started shooting these crystals and she was thrown aside. Leto ran very quickly to the monster from the other side, pierced it with his spear, and said that this is a blood crystal golem. Leon must act faster, otherwise they will all die here. He asked with a worried look, how can he raise a hand to such a girl? At that moment, the monster pulled out a spear and swung to attack. Shen pulled out his weapon and defeated her with one swift blow. She fell to the ground, her crystal body shattered, and he said that he hoped he was not mistaken. Leto looked at him, agreed, and said that he was truly worthy of the title of Lord, otherwise the outcome would be disastrous. As expected, it's dark sorcery but with modifications. What is it? He called the others and said that he had one bold guess. They went further into the cave, entered through the door, and he said that it seemed like they were in the archive room. He read the name Manor in the book and said that perhaps he was somehow related to Moray, the same apostle of the Legion of Darkness who acted many years ago. Juita said that he owned a dark technique, sacrificed people, turning the holy crystal into a blood crystal to strengthen himself. Under his control, tens of thousands of Ira residents were tortured and killed. There were rumors that 20 years ago, Moray single-handedly fought the United Order of the Crusaders, killed one of the commanders, and disappeared. He read the book and said that he was indeed not mistaken. These documents say that the ritual has been improved, and if they understood correctly, one of the features. He didn't have time to finish because the main character understood everything and said that it was that some bodies are especially good for transforming crystals. Most likely, these are children. The girl said that there was another cabinet here, which was pretty well protected. Leto approached her and said that if all this was really connected with Moray, then they urgently needed to get out of here. They couldn't handle a person who owned dark magic. He didn't listen to him, opened the door and said that whoever he was, a god or a demon, they needed to open it and look. They looked inside, were very surprised, and he said loudly that without a doubt, it was Moray. This freak had a mania for human hands. It didn't matter, a man or a woman, if he chose a victim, he killed that person, and not even a trace remained of the hand. This means that Moray, who was considered missing, had been living among them all this time, pretending to be normal. They need to retreat urgently, because this matter is not at all simple. He turned to them and asked if there was anyone among them who had seen Moray or Maynard. He said with a confused smile that there was a chance that he knew where that freak was buried. They came to the place where he buried Urnar, dug him up, and he asked if it was him. Leto looked at him and said that 20 years ago his portraits were hanging all over the country. It was definitely him. He apologized, but still, how did he know about it? MC said that they had a conflict. He grabbed him, after which this happened to him. After what happened, they came to a restaurant and he asked if all the holy crystals would be given to him. He didn't believe that she had suddenly become so generous. The system notified that the goal was to obtain a key item, a holy crystal. He thought that, however, it seemed that this thing was real. Judah said that he didn't need to worry. It was a modest gift from a student to him. Leto called the master and said that he didn't just save them. He saved thousands of families all over the Northern Imperial District. Even if she gave him all those holy crystals, it still wouldn't be enough. He agreed and said that besides, it was his to begin with. That meant she still owed him compensation. She immediately jumped out the window, apologized, and said that she remembered that there was a donkey in the east that she had to help give birth to. They would see each other sometime later. Leto said that once Nimmel's identity was confirmed, they would go and report. The Shadow Order would contact him and give him a reward. If he had any requests, he could pass this on. Leon started to cry and asked if he could stay here. The girl dragged him along and said that they had to go already. Fufu laughed and said that meant all that food was now hers. The girl came up to him and asked, "He's Chen, right?" She's the local investigating magistrate, Huayan. According to their information, he's a suspect in a murder case. This made him displeased, and he asked with a serious expression, "Did she say murder?" She said with a serious expression that 2 hours ago, Tina was found dead in the eastern forest, and her heart was missing. There is a witness who claims that he was the last person to meet with her. He remembered that she had previously told him about what happened to her last week, and thought that this meant that she was unable to leave. She said that he should go with them to investigate. He said that at that time, he was with people from the Shadow Order. They can clarify everything with them themselves. After all, they know them well. The guy who came with her with a displeased expression said that since he was told to go, then he should silently follow the instructions. She said that the Shadow Order is just a people's organization. However, the investigating magistrate, a representative of the Central Imperial Administration, is a completely different level. He stood up from the table and said that he had already said this. It was not him who did this, and he had no time to waste on them. He wondered, did they seriously think they could stop him? Unexpectedly for him, Huayan grabbed him, threw him on the floor, and said loudly that those she had her eye on could not escape. He was very surprised by this and wondered, what was that? She said that, on suspicion of murder, disturbing the peace, and on charges of vile behavior, he was arrested. After some time, she brought him to the torture room and asked, does he not want to talk? Then he will have to sit here with her. The protagonist said that she can check everything with the Shadow Order herself. Everything that needs to be said, he has already said. It has nothing to do with him. She touched his face and said that since he likes sitting here with her so much, she does not mind. He felt a lot of pressure and thought his legs felt really heavy. She looked at him and said that she would make him submit to her completely. He thought with a calm expression, so it was telekinesis? She increased his weight. That's why he couldn't move back then. Bufu smirked and asked, did he just realize it now? He kept resisting the telekinesis, and Huayan asked, won't he kneel down? If he keeps resisting, his knees will just crumble. A guy came into the room and called for the investigator, causing her to turn around and ask, should she release him? She untied him and told him he could go. Next time she would teach him a proper lesson. He walked past her with a smirk and said that he would look forward to it. He did something to her, causing her to feel a strange sensation. She couldn't move and thought, her body isn't moving? Did he really figure out her trick and manage to do something? Was she really immobilized by the suspect? What a shameful situation this was, but for some reason it was a little exciting. After a while, she walked down the hallway and asked, so why did he suddenly let him go? The man walking next to her said that someone found out about him being here and paid a large sum of money for his release. She knew herself. Half of the law enforcement budget was covered by this money. Huayan breathed heavily and asked, but even so, was it really possible to let him go so frivolously? He opened the door and said that he understood everything. She shouldn't be so angry. There was another reason. They finally finished preparing for the true word test. The results showed that the witness really lied. She asked, so he didn't see him kill Ting? He agreed and asked with a puzzled look. She was hot. Why was she all sweating? She didn't answer that question and thought that it was hard to overcome the mental pressure he had put on her, and it was terribly humiliating. She looked at the tied-up man and said that although he was the one who had given false testimony, he was the one who had really disgraced her. She took the whip and asked, so how about we finally start this wonderful justice? At that time, MC walked out of the building and was met by Qingyu on the way out and said that he was finally free. He saw her and thanked her for posting bail and asked, however, how did she even know where he was? She said that she had actually been looking for him. The merchants who had recently returned from the northern city said that a war had broken out there. He became worried about what he had heard, and she said that she had heard that the Shen family had attacked his family and had already blocked the entrance to the city. She wanted to tell him the news as quickly as possible, so she had to look for him everywhere. That was the only way she knew he had been arrested. He thought with a serious expression that it was a surprise attack. It seemed like Shen had prepared in advance. He thanked her and said that he needed to go home quickly. Fufu said that he didn't have to worry, since Xiao Wei was still with them. Even in her child form, the crying queen wasn't someone these weaklings could handle. Xingyu said that it was the fastest horse in the merchant guild. It seemed like it would come in handy. He walked up to the horse and said that she had thought of everything as always. He climbed onto the horse, thanked her, and said that she also needed to tell Lopu that his adopted child could now rest in peace. He rode away, and she laughed happily and said that she needed her now. Fufu looked at her and said that she didn't understand what she saw in him at all. She realized something, loudly asked him to wait, and said that she hadn't mounted her horse yet. At the same time, an old man was hovering near the Jong family's estate and said that all his efforts, dividing the troops, setting traps, he had finally waited for this moment. Earlier, he told the man who was caught by the judicial investigators that there was information that Chen was heading to Guisan City. They must definitely detain him there. At present, he thought, with a satisfied expression on his face, that they had blocked their way to the pass and they had 3 times more people. Now they had no chance. At the same time, a group of warriors surrounded Lu and Meng. She called out to her aunt with a worried look and asked what they should do now. She turned to her and said with a smile that she knew both martial techniques and seduction charms. It's time to test how effective it was. The warriors laughed at this and said that she had just said that she was good at seduction. She should show them everything she could do. What if he really fell in love with her and took her as a concubine? The old man said that the remaining forces of the Jiang family were trapped in this gorge, and no one would be able to get out of there. Once the reinforcements arrived, they would completely destroy them. At the same time, Vivian defeated a group of warriors and said that they were too weak. It was funny that they would go against the Jiang family with such forces. She could have smashed them all with one blow, but it was still daytime, and she had better wait until night. This way she would save her strength. She felt something strange and thought that something was wrong. Someone very strong was approaching here. His strength was much greater than those pathetic soldiers. Could he really be her master's real enemy? Immediately after that, she ran in the direction from which she sensed danger with a very serious expression. She flew above the manor and said that she seemed to be there. She needed to defeat the enemy with one blow. She released a stream of energy with a loud cry, using the roar of bloody madness. The attack caused a loud explosion, which attracted the attention of both sides of the conflict, and looked at the old man hovering in the air with a worried look and wondered, did the Shen family even attract such masters? He looked at him with a smile and said that it seemed like this was the reinforcements. After all, their elders in the family have authority. Even the reinforcements from Mr. Lingjun are quite impressive. She continued to fly above the ground and asked, has the pressure not disappeared yet? Pai Ace appeared at the place of her attack and said that it was very painful. They, the evil spirits, are so sneaky. They can only attack from behind. She said mockingly that she had already thought about who it was, but it was just a fat cat. He loudly said that she should shut up. After all, he is a tiger. She said with a smirk that she had heard that cats have 9 lives. I wonder how much that blow cost him? Immediately after that, both of them released a powerful energy that collided between them and exploded. The old man heard this and asked, is it another master? And Lingjun sent 2 at once? Vivian began to fight against Pai Ace, and they exchanged attacks at an incredible speed. He saw them and said that they should stop fighting. Are they by any chance reinforcements from Lord Lingjun? There is no time to delay the destruction of the Jiang family. they must follow him immediately. Because of what they heard, they stopped fighting each other and looked at him with obvious dissatisfaction. He was worried about their reaction and said that something was wrong. They flew towards him at the same time and said loudly that then they should start with him. At the same time, the protagonist was riding a horse and asked with a dissatisfied expression, "She can fly. Why would she sit on a horse?" Fufu said that this way she saves energy. After all, they haven't eaten anything and she's about to faint. He turned to her and asked, "By the way, she seemed to say something about the Queen of Crying. Who was that?" She said with a puzzled look that she didn't say anything and didn't know. It sounded familiar, but she couldn't remember. At that moment, a creature that emitted magical energy quickly caught up with them and knocked them down. Because of this, they both fell to the ground and he asked what that was. The creature that killed his horse said that it was so disgusting. After all, they were about to go collect the fruit of spiritual energy and he already felt bad. He looked at it with a displeased look and asked loudly, what was it doing anyway? Hadn't it heard that exceeding the speed limit was prohibited? The creature said that it wasn't his fault that they were crawling like snails. If everyone were like him, they would have gotten there long ago. He said with a displeased expression that because of him his creature died. He was in a hurry to go home now, and now he had to answer for it. The creature said that he understood him, but now he didn't have time. He would collect the fruits and immediately find him a horse much faster than this one. Immediately after that, this creature galloped away at incredible speed and said that the spiritual fruit ripens once every 10 years. Today is just that very day. Everything else can wait. He turned around and asked with a worried look, what was he doing? MC jumped on him with a very angry look and asked, first he crashed into them and now he's running away? He should go retake the traffic rules exam. The creature with a worried look wondered what kind of nonsense he was talking about. Wait, is he really a human? He asked how he was able to catch up with him at all. He radiated an ominous aura and said that he proposed this. He would be his horse and take him home. Then they would be even. The creature was very angry about this and thought that he was a noble creature from the Qilin family, a divine beast. So many emperors dreamed of getting him as a guardian of the kingdom, and even they had to beg several times. He turned around with a very dissatisfied look and asked if he thought too much of himself. He looked at him with a frightening expression and asked if he wanted to object to something. Qilin was very scared of this and said that it was not so. Everything was fine. Chen smiled and said that they should go then. The destination was the northern city, the estate of the Jong family. Immediately after that, they galloped in the direction he needed. At the same time, Pace held his claws to the head of the old man, who with a worried look asked the respected masters, maybe they could tell him how he could offend them. If he was wrong in something, he apologized for it. He asked with a wide smile, did he decide to apologize? Immediately after that, he threw him with great force towards the building. Because of this, he broke through the ceiling and fell to the floor with a loud sound. The warrior noticed this and said loudly that Elder Shen was in danger. They should quickly save him. At the same time, Vivian flew to the entrance of the manor and used the Bloody Madness Roar technique and asked with a shocked expression, has the Shen family finally decided to make a frontal attack? They should go meet the enemy. The old man asked with a dissatisfied expression, why did they attack them if there was no score or grudge between them? His Shen family, by the way, also has connections with Lord Lingjun. He looked at him and asked, isn't it Shen Yan, that old freak? He was very surprised when Pai Ace stood in front of him. He took a step back and asked, did he also come looking for trouble? You must listen carefully. They will not hand over Chen to them. If they want, they can kill them, but they will fight to the end for him. Unexpectedly for him, he called him Uncle N and said that he asked to be allowed to bow respectfully. He was embarrassed because of this, and he said that his lord saved his mother, therefore he is the eldest for him. He, as his uncle, by all rights is also his uncle. Isn't he right? He calmed down and said that now everything is clear. He didn't think that he was a magical beast, and he understood human family ties so well. Pai Ace laughed and said that it was thanks to his mother she raised him like that. She said that you need to learn more, so he studied it all the time. The warrior recognized him and said that he had said this. That day he was right. He had previously gone fishing with the main character and asked, was he imagining it? A tiger was hiding behind the tree? He sat nearby and said that he was seeing things again. He scared all the fish with his anxiety. Vivian said her real name and said that the Lord entrusted her with guarding the Jiang family house. He looked at her and asked why she didn't say right away that they were comrades. She said that he himself was hiding like an enemy. How could she understand whether he was a friend or not? And looked at her and asked, she called him Sir. What does that mean? She said with a smile that she and Sir had made a special close contract. He himself said that he liked it when she called him that. He was indignant because of this and said loudly that it was unforgivable. Of course, he was still young and he doesn't meddle in personal matters. But since it came to the girl, she could rest easy. He would settle everything. Let him marry according to all the rules, so that he could become a member of the family with honor. She said with a happy expression that he was incredibly kind. Suddenly, she felt a strange sensation and asked who was here. MC said with a serious expression that she shouldn't lie. There was no contract. She turned to him and said that she hadn't lied. It was true that they had a contract. Pai Ace turned to him and called him senior, and he asked what kind of stupid address was this. He went down from Qilin, walked up to his uncle and asked if everything was okay at home. Un said with a serious expression that thanks to the help of these two, everything worked out. Shenyan attacked suddenly. He saw him lying in the crater after the attack and asked if he had any idea what the consequences would be. He said with a serious expression that the strong wins and the weak die. That's the law. Since he lost to them here, maybe his sister is suffering the same thing now. Immediately after that, Pai Ace grabbed him, and they flew to her together with Vivian. Chen said with a serious expression that if anything happened to his sister or aunt, he would pay 100 times more for it. Yan said that he had left a triple team of the Shen family's best fighters at the pass. Even Mei Shen was very strong. How are these two women going to stand firm? He had better hurry. Who knows, maybe they would see them begging for death right now. She called him an old freak with a displeased look and loudly told the master that she was asking for permission to use the forbidden technique to rip apart his soul. Let him suffer even after death. He said that she should wait. They would decide what to do with him now. They arrived at the right place, where a warrior was kneeling in front of Lu, and loudly said that he did not want this. It was better for her to kill him. Meng was walking towards them from the forest, and he, with tears on his face, loudly said that he begged her to kill him quickly. She used a seduction technique and it worked on another warrior. He fell in love with her, and she asked if he was really ready to die for her. He called her queen, and said that he was ready for anything. The warrior who saw this with a very frightened look said loudly that he would rather die than fall under this technique of hers. Lu reluctantly agreed to this and hit him with her fist. His body began to crumble, and he said with a smile that he was grateful to her. Now he was free. Jianglu threw herself into MC's arms and cried with tears in her eyes. Brother, he's finally here. It was so scary. MC replied to her. It's okay, it's all over now. Pai Ace thought, judging by the power of her punch, there was hardly anyone in this place who could really scare her. Elder Shen asked, Why did things turn out like this? Aren't they the elite of the Shen clan? Why do they fight so pathetically then? The guy held his shoulder and said, Elder, it's not that they were afraid of dying. The brothers fought with all their might, but they couldn't even scratch the enemy. The elder asked, What is he talking about? The guy turned towards Zhonglu and said, That girl's fists are kind of devilish. She looks like she's waving it around haphazardly. The guys scattered in all directions and asked her not to get any closer, not to come near them. The guy turned around and said, That one over there is even scarier. What's more, looking into her eyes, just hearing her voice or smelling her scent can immediately make you lose your will. In the end, the brothers couldn't even leave with dignity. The boys were lying on the ground and crying in pain. Suddenly, MC walked up to the elder and said, Elder Shen, for his meanness, he will not be granted a dignified death. The elder folded his hands together and turned to Zhang Chen and said that today he had won. The Shen clan had already paid too high a price. He asked for pity on him. He promised that he would never set foot on his territory again. He asked MC to know, one of their ancestors has influence at the court of Lord Flawless. Pai Ace swung his clawed paw and sent him away, calling him a clown. He turned to the elder and said that this old man had been hiding behind him all along. He couldn't stand it anymore. The elder's body fell to the ground, and Jiang Chen said that he wanted to get more out of him, but he was already vomiting. The horse asked, Can he go? He's home. That's it. It's done. MC replied, That's right. He completely forgot. He wondered if they would sign a long-term contract? Full benefits package, paid vacation? He thought, after all, the teleporter has a limited range and number of activations, and this beast is much more reliable. The horse turned around and said irritably, he'd rather throw himself off a cliff or die of hunger than let himself be saddled again. He was leaving and saying goodbye forever to the disgusting little people who humiliated him. The horse pushed off the ground and evaporated. Zhang Chen said, It's a shame, of course. After all, only at rank 4 can you unlock flight, and at his pace. Who knows how long it will take. By the way, Mr. Flawless, he thinks he's heard of him somewhere. The main boss of the high-level dungeon Ice Hell in Fantasy World God's Abode. The main whiner of the game. MC grabbed his head and said, Don't give a damn. Skipping the plot, he only remembers that he killed his father himself. Vivian suddenly appeared in front of him and asked, Master, does he mean to say that Mr. Flawless will stage a coup and attack King Lawton? MC asked again, Are there no newspapers or news? It was written everywhere. Meng said, But, young master, King Lawton is still alive. MC asked, What? She replied that Fufu herself didn't know. Foolish brother. Maybe he should try to think with his wooden head? MC replied, There are two options. One, the game lore has changed. The second. At that moment, the horse moved and said, He has finally arrived. To relieve fatigue, he needs to eat a dozen juicy spiritual fruits. Suddenly he stopped and looked at the killed creatures. The horse screamed loudly, Are they poisoned? He leaned over and thought, Spiritual fruits can't be poisonous. So someone had deliberately desecrated the tree. But why? Spiritual fruits are the Chilan's favorite delicacy. Before him, no one had the right to even come close. But today, he wasn't nearby. So if it weren't for that guy, he would be lying here. The horse turned around and started running, thinking that someone was waiting for him to die. Run. He needed to run immediately. After a while, a man in the Flawless Palace shouted, Lord Flawless, why didn't he send reinforcements? He promised to help. He was just informed that the last man from the Zhou clan had died in battle. Lord, they once helped him. He swore to help him in the fight against Mei Chen. Flawless yawned lazily and replied, "Old man, he got something wrong. He said that he would provide support if possible, but he never promised to help. Stop whining to him about all sorts of nonsense. Do you understand him?" The man bowed down in fear and asked him to forgive him. He was just too excited. He asked him not to be angry, but to remember their friendship. He just lost his temper a little. He asked the Lord not to hold a grudge against him. The Flawless One frowned and said, "That year, when he and the army passed through the northern village, the soldiers were dying of hunger. They saved them back then by feeding them. He still remembers that kindness, so now he will help them." The man said, "The Lord is generous. The Lord, he is the embodiment of honor and justice." The Flawless One covered the man's body with manna and lifted him into the air, causing him to scream in fear. "Lord, what is he doing?" The Flawless One replied, "He was the only one left from the Zhou clan. There was probably no reason for him to be alive anymore. He would just help him join the others." The man screamed in fear. "What? No." He asked the Lord to spare him, but the Flawless One was indifferent to his pleas. He waved his hand and blew up his body. He turned away in irritation and said, "How annoying." What was he thinking? Letting people like him near him? The servant said, "It won't happen again, sir." Flawless turned around and said, "Hog, don't let him think it doesn't concern him. He hasn't been doing his tasks lately, which is why he's starting to get annoyed. Catching one mermaid in Qilin? Is it really that hard?" Hog apologized to Sir. Although the plan had gone wrong, he found an important clue. That day, the person who caused a ruckus at Chunyan Lake, maybe it was him who helped Sena escape. He came closer to Flawless and showed the image of MC in his ball. Hog said, "And what's more, the place where they tried to capture Qilin had the same spiritual wave. Maybe this was his doing too." "Sir, maybe someone specially sent this person to ruin everything?" Flawless asked again. "Is it really that same old idiot?" He frowned and thought, although, now is not the time for that. The army of darkness is about to overwhelm the continent. They need to get their hands on the key figures at all costs. He turned away and said, "By the way, it's time to start that task too." Hog asked the master not to worry. Everything is already in progress. Flawless turned around and said, "And kill that pathetic insect." Hog covered himself in dark mana and said, "Of course, not only this, Zhang Chen. Everything related to him will be destroyed." After a while, MC stood on the street and looked at the map. He ruffled his hair and thought, after all, the map of this world is different from the one in the game. He said, if he's not mistaken, the events before the main storyline of Fantasy World God's Abode are happening now. Fufu screamed loudly, "Bing, go. Foolish brother can sometimes think too. If so, Fufu will give another reward." Paye said, "Senior, since everything is settled, he declines. Mom is waiting for him. There are still some things to do." A log appeared in Zhang Chen's hands, and he asked puzzledly, "What kind of reward is this? It looks like a chewing gum for teeth. Let Paye's chew it to his heart's content." Paye's happily grabbed it with his teeth and thought, a rank 6 artifact with a built-in technique, a piece of emptiness? He asked, "Senior, is this really for him?" MC asked again, "Who else? With his teeth, will this bone be useful?" He thought the continuation of these two techniques. He left Lu and Aunt Meng. He turned around and told Xiaowei to lean closer. She crouched and asked, "Master, isn't this too much? Right in front of everyone?" Zhang Chen hit her on the head and ordered her to stop messing around. She screamed. It hurt. MC activated his mana and said, "A special kind of skill. This is just right for the evil spirit kind." Xiaowei looked at her clone and asked, "What is this?" She cried out happily, "This is amazing. Now she can serve Master doubly loyally." MC said, "They have settled everything. Now it's time for him to get the pass to the next rank. Although, wait, why does he need to get the pass?" Fufu replied, "The greater the strength, the greater the responsibility." Foolish brother, hasn't he heard of such a phrase? After a while, Zhang Chen walked down the street in Lingguan and said, "The pass to the next rank can be obtained by passing the test in the dungeon, Fall of the Moon Disc. If he remembers correctly, he first needs to get the pass to Lingguan." He thought about it. Wait, Lingguan, that's right. Huayan was standing on the street and speaking. They say that Mr. Flawless personally entrusted her with this test. She smiled and thought, since the master himself acknowledged her, she should try her best. Fufu tugged MC's shirt and told him to look how delicious it looks. Huayan narrowed her eyes and thought, this man, what is he doing here? MC ruffled his hair and thought, Lingguan, this is the same capital that Mr. Flawless had slaughtered before he killed his father. Although he doesn't remember exactly when the massacre started in this city, but in any case, he needs to warn the locals somehow. MC asked Fufu, what if he changes what was supposed to happen in the game according to the plot? Fufu replied that she doesn't know herself. In any case, he'll have to answer for it later. Zhong Chen replied, horrible, she's as useful as a bull's milk. Okay, they should visit Duke Lair first. At this moment, Huayan was standing behind the wall, watching MC. After a while, the knight stepped forward and shouted, "Stop, the Duke doesn't receive anyone without a special invitation." MC replied that he was not a guest. He came for a pass to the Falling Moon Disc trial. The knight asked again, "A pass?" Zhang Chen replied, "It's like a participation license. Should he run and take it himself?" The knights crossed their spears and shouted, "Forbidden, and if he takes another step, he shouldn't be offended that he will be treated harshly." MC moved behind them and replied, Okay. They are just making a living. He will not interfere with them. He will go in himself." The knight turned around and ordered him to stop. "There is dragon flame in this thing. He has one last chance to retreat." It approached MC and he touched it with his hand and said, "Wow." He directed it towards the knight and smirked. At this moment, the Duke's chief steward came out and asked, "Sir, may he ask for his name and title?" He thought, to knock out a guard who owns dragon breath with one blow. Such strength, it is at least the 4th rank or even the 5th. MC replied, "He is Jong Chen, no title. He just came to get the Duke's permission to participate in the trial." The manager said, "Sir, perhaps he came a little late. They had some unexpected problems today. He asks him to come later." Jong Chen asked, "How serious?" "Let him show him." The manager replied, "Okay." At this moment, inside the building, Lair said, "Gentlemen, since they have come here, it is already an honor for him. Whether they can cure his daughter or not, there will be a reward in any case, and if someone can cure her, he can ask for anything. He, Lair, will give everything he has, even if it is his life." He asked to pass. His daughter is in the room. The guy asked, "I wonder what kind of illness the Duke's daughter has." The girl asked, "If she cures her, maybe she will get the daughter herself and the entire inheritance." Lair's daughter was lying in the room, chained up. The guy asked, puzzled, "Duke, is he serious?" "Miss Sis, that is." Lair replied, "It is the plague of the living dead, he knows, but he can't help anymore, so he asks them to save his daughter." The guy rushed to the exit and screamed, "What nonsense, it's contagious. No, he doesn't want to become the same monster." Shu entered the room and took off her hood and said, "Duke Lair, she's willing to try. She'll call upon the holy light to relieve Miss Sis of her suffering." Lair replied, "If Miss Shu is truly willing to help, that's great." Shu folded her hands together and asked in confusion. The holy light rejected her request. Why? She decided to try again. Sis was writhing on the bed, and Shu said in confusion, "The light, no matter how much she calls it, it doesn't respond." MC entered the room and thought. He remembered. The flawless ones slaughtered the city precisely because someone had caught the plague of the living dead. There was no cure back then. One infects 10, 100, and the whole city turns into zombies. At first he wanted to save everyone, but in the end he only made things worse. Then his heart gave out, he slaughtered the entire city, and then his father, who did not understand him. It's sad, of course, but in essence, it's just immaturity and weakness. Youth. Shu asked the Duke to forgive her. Perhaps the only thing she can do is give his daughter peace. Let the pain go away forever. Lair screamed, "Does she want to kill Sis? He won't let her. She's still human. She's his daughter." Shu spoke, "But if they don't stop her, both his family and the entire city will suffer." MC turned around and said, "What's there to worry about? They'll just hit the shadow, and that's it." Lair screamed, "Who is he?" Shu asked again, "The shadow, what?" Jung Chen thought, well, yeah. It's no wonder they don't know anything. Players get to the fantasy world after the invasion of the Army of Darkness. Decades have passed since then. Magic has developed greatly. If you compare it to anime, players know about the sage technique, and these are still at the stage of how to connect with a dog. MC waved his hand and ordered to just watch. He directed his mana into Sis's body, who rose into the air and screamed loudly. Blood flowed from her mouth and she asked, "Daddy, what's wrong with her?" Lair screamed, "Daughter, his girl, she's back." MC clenched his fist and said, "Done." He thought, although it seems, there were already great magicians at that time. For example, Sonia of the Holy Light. It seems that she was the one who created many spells against the Army of Darkness. Shu approached MC and said, "Sir, please let him tell her what this technique is. She also wants to learn it. Can he teach her?" Zhang Chen replied, "If she wants to learn, she will have to forget everything she was taught since childhood about the Holy Light. In her case, it will not work. This is a shadow technique." Shu asked again, "Give up the light? For the sake of saving people." Shu Sonia, agrees to everything. MC smiled and said, "Now she sees," as he thought. He stopped and turned around, cried out, "Stop. What did she say?" Sonia replied, "In order to save as many people as possible and defeat the plague, Shu Sonia, is ready to renounce the light and learn shadow magic." Zhang Chen thought, in tens of years she will become a great saint, the legendary Sonia of the Holy Light. And now she asks him to teach her shadow magic? After a while, Lair happily said, "Master Jine, the pass to the secret dungeon is already inside, and on top, a token from the Duke. If he needs anything in Lingguan, let him just show the token, and everything will be decided. Besides, he promised, he can ask for absolutely anything." MC wondered, what would he want? He doesn't even know. If he thinks of something, he will come himself. For now, this will be enough. Lair bowed and said with tears in his eyes, "Master Jiang, the ducal palace is forever indebted to him." Sonia asked, "Master Jiang, why does he not want to teach her shadow magic? Because of lack of talent? She's willing to plow, endure, try." MC thought that she was too pushy. Zhang Chen cleared his throat and said, "He just thinks she does not have to follow the shadow path. If she focuses on the light, then perhaps she will find a way to cope with the plague of the living dead." Sonia put her palm to her chest and answered, "But the light does not respond. If she meets the next infected, she would be powerless again." MC asked, "Maybe she just lacks faith?" Sonia said puzzledly, "Faith." She thanked Master Zhang. Although he has not dedicated himself to the light, he sees much more clearly than she does. She fell to her knees and said, "She sinned. She begs for forgiveness. Perhaps the light also has a way to cleanse the plague." But still she doubted because of her own weakness. MC adjusted his hair and said, "That's good. Now let her go back." Sonia replied, "Master Zhang, she will try. She hopes to receive another instruction from him." MC grabbed his head and said, "It's not that he didn't want to teach her at all, but turning a holy girl into a shadow ninja, he couldn't bring himself to do such a thing." Zhang Chen turned around and said, He hopes these edits to the plot won't affect it too much. Otherwise, who knows what else this system will do. Fufu didn't listen to him, but said, dumplings. She wants dumplings. MC turned around and heard the saleswoman asking, is it rent again? She paid last month. The man grabbed the food and shouted, last month she paid for this quarter, and now she's paying for next year. It all makes sense. If she can't pay, then let her get out of here. The woman screamed. They have a small business. Where are they going to get that kind of money? Fufu asked. Can he hear me? You stupid bandit. Does he have any conscience? The man asked. Who is she? Small. He ordered her to get out of the way and held out his hand. MC grabbed his hand, and the man asked irritably, has he become insolent? Did he raise his hand to him in Lingguan? Does he even know who he is? MC showed him his badge, and the man screamed in fear. Is he from the Duke's palace? He started running away and asked for forgiveness. He didn't recognize. Fufu said, what a terrible idiot. MC asked the woman to give them dumplings. She replied, of course, of course. Soy sauce, matcha, or BBQ? Fufu screamed. Soy, matcha, and BBQ all at once. Zhang Chen turned around and asked, how long will she hide? Let her come out. Huayan turned around and thought, how did he find her out? She had disguised herself perfectly. A little boy looked at her with a bag on her head and asked, Mom, who is this strange girl? Huayan threw the bag off her head and said, so Lingjun's instructions were correct. A plague has indeed appeared in Lingguan. If this is left to its own devices, it will be a disaster. Besides the Duke's daughter, there is a more serious problem, an infected source outside the city. Since he had already dealt with one case, he should go with her and deal with the cause. MC answered her rudely, no. Huayan's eyes widened in surprise and asked, what? Zhang Chen replied, he was not interested in their imperial squabbles, and Lingjun had nothing to do with him. MC took the dumplings, and Fufu grabbed him and screamed loudly. These are her dumplings, he thought, helping all sorts of heroic idiots. It was definitely a waste of energy and no use. Whoever wants to, let him deal with it himself. Suddenly, a girl with dumplings approached Jiang Chen and said, brother, Mom said these are for them. Let him help himself. Thank him, sir, for helping him. The girl asked Xiaodi to run to her. MC turned around and imagined a picture of a city on fire and murders. He turned around and asked, where's the contaminated source? Huayan happily answered, that would be right away. After a while, they arrived at the dark trail and Huayan asked, can he handle it? MC ordered her to just watch. He directed his mana towards it, and Huayan screamed. He really cleared it. Zhang Chen replied, it feels like there are dozens more springs like this around Lingguan. It takes all the spiritual energy to clear one. He needs to think of something. Let her turn around. Huayan asked, what, a forbidden technique too? Huayan turned away and pursed her lips in displeasure, and MC started to go to the toilet. Huayan, she screamed loudly. What is he doing? Zhang Chen replied, he's been holding it since this morning. Does she want him to wet himself while destroying the spring? Huayan screamed, disturbing public order. She's confiscating the weapon. MC turned around and said, there's a strong thirst for blood coming from there. A masked man rushed towards him and ordered him to die. MC thought, spiritual energy has run out. He won't be able to move. Horror, he won't even have time to dodge. The man swung, and Huayan pulled MC towards herself with mana. She said, maximum mental strength. She created a barrier in which MC and the bandit were. Zhang Chen asked, what about him? Huayan replied that he committed indecent acts in front of the officer. She has every right to interrogate him. MC thought this idiot was taking revenge on him. That's 100%. Huayan said that she was an officer of Huayan. She ordered him to surrender immediately, then she would personally take him to her special interrogation room. The guy pushed off the ground and tried to hit her. He said that she was not the target. He ordered her to get out of the way. Huayan asked, can he still move? It seems that she really was too soft. She used full telekinesis reach. The man swung his sword and said, her power only works within its range, right? Huayan used maximum reach. The bandit said, so if he managed to escape from her range, he wouldn't be affected. Fortunately, as a killer, he was more than confident in speed. Huayan caught him, and he asked how. Huayan replied that she never used corporal punishment on criminals. Does he know why? The bandit asked. He couldn't move? Huayan asked. Does he think it's because she's weak? On the contrary, she smirked and said, it's because she can barely control her monstrous strength. If the criminal dies before his time, then where's the fun in that? She frowned in displeasure and said, horrible, how fast he is. The bandit broke free from her grip and screamed, fine, let him die finally. Fufu sat on MC's shoulder and said, this is actually for her. Zhang Chen replied, he is exhausted, he needs it more. The bandit grinned and asked, respected man, he decided to have his last supper? MC snapped his fingers, activating mana, and said he left some for him too. He thought, telekinesis, maximum power. The bandit looked at him and thought, telekinesis again? Even if it hits, it's not scary. He's still dead. Zhang Chen attacked him, first scaring Huayan and asked, did he not even think about dodging? He overestimated himself, right? He came down from the hill and offered to see what kind of offerings he had. He hopes that at least something worthwhile will be found. Huayan asked in surprise, can telekinesis really do such things? MC sat down on the ground and asked, what is this? Fufu, let her have a look. Will this be useful? Fufu replied, she doubted that this small fry could have anything worthwhile. Even a tenth of what she gave him was not worth it. Huayan ordered to let her see. She snatched it from MC's hands and asked, is this the token of Mr. Flawless' personal guard? How did he get it? She knew it. Did he really attack the guard and take the token? Zhang Chen replied, it was obvious that Flawless sent this guy to kill him. Huayan asked, but why would he eliminate him? MC replied, who knows? It seems that some idiot from the Shen family mentioned him. Before his death, he was still whining that he was flawless as man. Huayan said, in short, she will find out everything and report according to the form. After all, he cleared the source. He has merits before the empire. When the flawless one finds out, he will definitely forget the personal insult and even reward him. After all, he is the kindest, most generous, and most caring person. She herself became an officer to follow his path. MC looked at her and thought, yes, the object of her fantasies is white and fluffy. And it was not he who attempted to kill him. And it was not he who slaughtered the entire city. He said, by the way, he was unable to completely clean up all the contaminated Lingguan springs. He asked her to go and warn the townspeople to prepare for evacuation. Because this Sunny doesn't need much to do something bad. Huayan asked, Sunny? Jiang Chen answered, she will find out soon. Huayan asked to stop and finish. After a while, there were guards in the imperial palace, and MC was on a tree branch and said, if the emperor's son grew up like this, it means that his father is to blame. This stupid flawless one became like this because the old king spoiled him too much. He needs to talk to him like a man. Fufu smirked and said, silly brother, she thinks he's too confident. The palace courtyard is full of masters, and there's also a barrier that blocks magic. He can't even teleport if he enters there. MC replied, that's exactly why he has her, Fufu. He actually trusts her with his life. Fufu screamed, wait, he's counting on her? Okay, that's a stretch. He can rely on the great and mighty Fufu. Jiang Chen threw the boxes to her and told her to hold this one first. She knows. She's so cute. He wonders if she'll cry for a long time if he throws her. Fufu asked, puzzled. What? MC screamed. 1, 2, 3, go. He swung his arm and threw Fufu to the side. The knight said, something flew past. The other knight ordered all the posts to comb the area immediately. Jiang Chen thought, great. After a while, the knight leaned over to Fufu and asked, baby, what happened? Fufu burst into tears and said that some human trafficker uncle tried to take Fufu away, but it's good that she resisted with all her might and escaped. The knight asked, human trafficker? Where is he? Fufu pointed to the side and said, over there. The knight said, go ahead. There shouldn't be any incidents near the royal city. The guy replied, yes, captain. Fufu replied, thank you, uncle. Then Fufu will go home. The knight put his hand on her shoulder and told her to stop. Since there were human traffickers here, he'd better take her home. Where does she live? Fufu pursed her lips, slightly embarrassed. At this moment, MC was sitting on the table and saying, the chicken leg is not bad, crispy on the outside and tender on the inside, salty and aromatic. The royal cooks clearly don't eat their bread for nothing. And what will he, the old king of Grani, say? MC thought, he can't speak? MC put his hand on his head and told him not to worry, he wouldn't hurt him. The king said that he could now communicate with him mentally. Who is he? Jiang Chen replied, it doesn't matter who he is. What matters is that a zombie apocalypse is about to start in Lingguan. His son, the flawless one, is trying to stop it, but he will end up slaughtering the entire city. If he wants to change everything, then he should act now. He warned him. The king turned around and asked, zombie apocalypse? What the hell? Their northern empire has always been under the protection of the supreme god. Why would such a plague appear on their lands? And he says that Arceus will slaughter the city? No way. His son may act strangely sometimes, but no one loves these people more than him. On his birthday, MC interrupted him and said, on his birthday, all the northern valleys seemed to whisper his name. Arceus, his son, was born to be the leader of the north. The old man's eyes widened in surprise and asked how he knew he wanted to say that. He lowered his head and said, this thought had been brewing in him for decades. He was saving it to say at the most opportune moment. MC thought, well, he certainly didn't expect this to be his last speech before he died. He said, anyway, there was no point in him deceiving him. Whether it was true or not, he could check for himself. The king frowned and thought, although he didn't understand what this young man wanted, but as soon as mine arrived, he would be able to find out the truth. MC asked again, mine? Old man, did he also call for backup? At that moment, the knights were walking down the street and asking, baby, has she already walked 3 streets without remembering where she lives? Fufu replied, she was just hungry. On an empty stomach, you can even forget your mother. Uncle, will he buy Fufu something to eat? The knight irritably ordered to take her back, and the other knight asked, captain, if she is from a noble family, they might make enemies? The man replied, it is better not to let suspicious people near the royal city. The knight waved his hand and said, little one, let her come with him. Suddenly, Fufu used the great punishing strike hurrah, and the knight screamed loudly. She said Fufu will not play with them anymore. Bye! The knight fell into the ground and screamed, horror! At this moment, the knight came to mine and said, sir, the situation is urgent. Please let him go to his majesty immediately. Mine replied, no need to worry. The entire royal city is under his control. He touched the sphere with his hand and watched the conversation between Jing Chen and the king. MC asked, he is trying to save his city, and he is calling a rat for help? Aren't you ashamed, old man? The king replied, he doesn't even need to call him. As an 8th level mage, his spiritual power is strong enough to cover the entire royal city. Various energies will definitely attract him, it's just a matter of time. His protective seal contains an 8th level spell that will destroy him in the blink of an eye. He did the right thing by not attacking him. MC said, oh, this pay-to-wing. Suddenly, Mine's voice rang out and said, he doesn't know how the young man got here. But once under the influence of Mine's forbidden seal, all spells and magic circles lose their power. Jiang Chen said, well, it looks like they caught him. The king frowned and said, no need to worry, he has no intention of tormenting him. as long as he honestly tells everything, including Lingguang. MC said he was joking. Let the old man relax. He said, Fufu, now. Dark mana appeared in the room, attracting the attention of the king and the mage who was already walking out of his portal. Mine looked around and asked, did he disappear? How is this possible? The king asked. Mine, are there many people stronger than him in the entire continent? Mine clenched his staff and replied, there may be a few dozen, but even if there is someone stronger than him, his forbidden seal in the royal city will detain him for a while. At least, he won't be able to leave so easily. What kind of person could achieve such a thing? A voice rang out a while ago. Surprisingly, fate was predetermined as a tragedy, but someone broke it. His life, one of the luckiest he had ever met. The king looked around and asked, what kind of voice was that? The turtle was talking. If someone tells him strange things, let not rush to deny it. Let him try to check. Perhaps it is the will of God. He needs to try to believe. Perhaps it is the will of God. The king asked, is the turtle talking? It seems like he not only has a problem with his hearing, but also with his head. Currently, he folded his arms and asked, is this really a messenger from God? At this moment, MC was moving along the bright path of light and thought, it seems like his bet paid off. He moved to the moon disc fall trial and thought, when the pass is activated before entering the trial, everyone is forcibly transported to the training area. These training grounds are created based on the original power of the Ira continent, and they are so powerful that ordinary people cannot resist it. So he specially told Fufu to activate the pass at the right time. So they were forcibly teleported and were able to leave the royal city safely. Fufu was ordering the box to open. Zhang Chen folded his hands in his pockets and thought, not a bad feature, but it has a small drawback. The trial only teleports the one who activated the permit. These are the rules of the continent. That's why he bet on Fufu not obeying the rules. The test can only sense his spiritual power and was able to teleport him away. Fufu touched him with her hand and said, she's dead tired. Thank you, Fufu, for making it in time. How is he going to thank her? MC stuffed food into her mouth and Fufu said sheepishly, big, juicy, very tasty. Stupid brother. Sometimes he can be useful too. Zhang Chen stretched and thought, an 8th level mage IRL, maybe he would look cool. But here he can say one thing. He still has a lot of training to do, son.